my fuzzy ducklings. This is Jan here with you today doing the last project in our Bountiful Bones series. And today we're going to learn how to make 3 different bookmarks that have to do with bones and feet. One of them will be this foot that shows the skeleton inside your foot. Isn't that look neat? This is our bony one. This is our Halloween one. Then we're going to make a bright, colorful bookmark that's shaped like a foot with toes out of washi tape or strips of material or strips of paper, whatever you have on hand. And then we're going to do this sassy little girl. Bright red toenails, a toe ring, and a bright red ribbon. So today you're going to learn how to make all 3 of these bookmarks. I hope you enjoy this. Okay, let's talk about the supplies you'll need to make these foot bookmarks. We've got 3 that we're going to show you how to make, and you'll need almost basically the same supplies for each of these. So let's go through that real quick. First off, you'll want to download our pattern sheet, and that link should be somewhere right around where your video is. Take a hunt for that, and know that these patterns are always free for you to use. And on our pattern sheet, we'll have our foot bones, we'll have our foot outline, and then on the other side is a foot outline with some patterns for toenails. That's for our 3rd one. So we're going to do this in 3 steps. First, we're going to do our bony foot. And you will need some, either a colored pencil or some inks to shadow around the edges of your bones. Now I'm going to use my ink, but lightly coloring around with a colored pencil would work just great. And if you don't have a colored pencil, just use your regular pencils and put gray shadows in. That will work fine. And then you'll need a piece of cardstock to glue this on. We're making bookmarks, and they need to be nice and sturdy and hold up when we put them in books and use them for years to come. Now, a good place to get this cardstock, piece of cereal box. And then you will need a color of your choice to put behind the bones. Now I'm choosing some black papers. I just think the black will set off my bones really neat. Let's see, what else will you need? You will need Mod Podge. I'm not sure there's any craft we do anymore that doesn't have Mod Podge. And if you've been doing any of our other projects, you're all set up with Mod Podge. And a brush, obviously, to use with that. And let's see, what else you'll need. Maybe a pen or pencil to trace around our patterns with. And scissors, obviously. Scissors. There may be a few more things along. There are for our other bookmarks. And we'll just take these one at a time. Okay, let's start out on this one. Before I cut my bones out, I want to go ahead and color in my shadows. If you're using a colored pencil, this is the time to do it. I'm doing it with my ink pad. So I'm going to do it before I cut it out. That way I don't get ink on the edges of my desk or anything while I'm trying to do these edges of my bones. And remember, these are just bones. They kind of need to look all maybe old and ancient, and you know, we don't have to worry about them looking perfect. Let's come here on the edges of these toe bones. You know, this is a bookmark that would be great to give to someone that's in the medical field or someone that works with bones. And it's also great for Halloween, and it's just fun, actually, for anybody. Now, a couple of our other bookmarks might be more appealing to the girls. This might be more appealing to the boys. I don't know. We girls like funny, scary things too, don't we? All right, got that all inked up. Now, let's just cut out generally around this. Don't get into fussy cutting because we're going to Mod Podge this first before we do that. So let's just get this out ready to Mod Podge. And I'm going to try to set this up so you do all your podging. I like to call it podgitating at one time for each bookmark. Now, the next thing you'll want to cut out is your template here. And cut out all the way around that guy. I already have mine cut out over here just to save time. And I'm going to lay him here, and I need to draw around him. So I'm going to get my pen, and you might even want to fasten that down with a bit of tape. Now you want to outline your foot with a pen or pencil, and this should show up on your black paper. Check to be sure, but it should show up enough for what we need to do. Be sure and outline underneath your pieces of tape. You can take those off now. Go up here and finish our toe off. Gotta have our big toe. Now let's see if we got it. Yay, it shows up just fine. I don't know if you can see it, but it's very plain for me. So I'm going to lay that pattern piece aside. I have a lot of things on my desk here and I'm making a mess, I think. What we want to do next, let's see, we want another piece because we will need a front, which our bones will go on to. And then we need a back, and in between that goes a piece of cardboard. But what we want to do is Mod Podge these first because that helps us avoid wrinkles of all kinds. So I'm going to take this piece of paper and cut it down to about the same size as this one because I want 2 black pieces. All right. We don't have to cut anything else out before we Mod Podge. So we want to Mod Podge our outline, an extra sheet, and just podge that one so that there's a piece big enough here to fit that foot. And we want to Mod Podge these bones. So that's our next step. So get some Mod Podge out, and I like to keep mine in this little bowl. Get your Mod Podge brush, and here we go. Just give it a good coat. This is going to give it strength so you can cut and decorate and do whatever you want to it, and it won't fall apart. And when you attach these things together, it shouldn't wrinkle. And that is really the main reason we do this podging ahead of time. So I'm going to finish putting Mod Podge on these 3 pieces and letting it dry, and then we will be back to pretty much finish this bookmark. These are very easy bookmarks. All right, I've checked my podged pieces and they are dry now. So we're going to put our backing piece together. I'm going to just rough cut around where I made this outline. Again, I don't imagine you can see it on camera. And since it's dried, actually I can barely see it, but I can see it just enough. All right. Now, I want to glue or Mod Podge this piece on my cardstock. Shiny side up, or Mod Podged side up. So let me get my Podge out. when you're not working on it, be sure you keep that brush in some water or it will get really hard and ruin your brush. So I'm going to turn it over on the back side, and this hasn't been Mod Podged before, and cover this in Mod Podge so that we can glue it down. We use Mod Podge a lot, don't we? Be sure you get your edges fairly good, although we'll be cutting out around it, so if you miss some little spots, it really won't hurt. But we want to get it glued down nice and solid. There we go. Now flip that over and put it right down there on your cardstock. Now if you have some where you don't want it, you can just wipe that off a little bit. Alrighty. Flatten that down nice and even. And you notice how we didn't have any problem with wrinkles. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to cut out, rough cut out again around this. Not being real picky. Lay that aside. We're making a sandwich here of cardstock between black paper. Now let's take your other piece that you Mod Podged, and here's the shiny side. We want to turn it over to the not shiny side and glue it to the back of this. See, like that? Now, it might be a little tricky to line up my shiny side. I'm not going to be quite lined up, but I don't think that's going to hurt. All right, so back with the Mod Podge here. And I'm going to cover most of the back of this piece. And I notice I need to go clear to the edge there. Oops, got something in my podge. We don't want the lumps, do we? Okay, now I'm going to lay this piece right on top of that. Now I know we're going to have to cut that out, and I have an awful lot of podge around those edges. I'm going to wipe some of that off so it'll dry quicker. Sometimes I'm just very messy. All right. And my finger stuck there and made some fingerprints, but that's going to get covered up. Now, we need to set that side aside and let it dry. And you need to cut out your bones. And I'll be right back with you as soon as that's dry and I have my bones cut out. Okay. I think everything has dried well here. This may eventually have to go under a heavy book for a while. We have a little bit of curving, but that's okay. Our next step is to cut out our foot shape. That's why it's important to be sure you can see this outline well. Now mine, as it has dried, it's got harder to see. But I do think I can see it well enough to get it cut out. Now, once you get this cut out, you'll need to take a nail file and smooth down these edges. You don't have to do a whole lot to it, but kind of get any rough edges off. And if you see a spot that didn't get cut real smooth, take care of that at this point. And you'll want to do both sides. After you've done that, you will want to cut out your bones if you haven't already done it. And this is what we call a fussy cut. We go around all the little spots, and then it's going to be down here on our foot. Now I want to cover up this little line that you see of cardboard. You could do that with a marker and just run it along the edge, or I'm just going to use my inking pad here and cover that up like that. It's a tiny thing. You don't notice it much, but every little thing you do like that improves the way your art looks. Now, I was a little too messy and got some Mod Podge on the back side of my bookmark, but I know you'll be more careful than me. I'm kind of in a hurry here trying to get them done and not take too much time on my camera or too much of your time. And I now have my bones cut out, and this needs to be glued so these toe bones fit right in like that. And of course we're going to glue that with some Mod Podge. What else would we use? Okay, now we need to carefully get these toe bones in there so they fit in there just right. Fit them right in there. There we go. And then you can guess what we're going to do next. We're going to Mod Podge over this one more time. Let's be sure all this is stuck down well though first. And I kind of didn't get my bones in the middle like I should. So I'm going to have to trim a little of my bones off, but I don't think you'll do that. If one gets in a hurry, then your art always pays. But I very much need to get this video done today because I have a very busy rest of the week coming up. And I want to get this finished and get it up for you. So, you won't need to hurry for yours. And you know what? If we make some mistakes, does it really matter? These are ours, and as long as we like them, that's all that counts. And if you're making it for somebody else, they're sure to love it just because you made it. There. Now, before we finish this off, we need to let that dry. I'm going to move this over, clean my mess up, and let that dry. All right, we need to do the finishing touches on our bookmark. This dried a little white because I put probably too much on, although I think that will clear up the longer that sits in the dryer it gets. All right, you need to punch this out, and these are really hard to punch out. If you have a cropadial, this is where you should use it. And you'll know what a cropadial is if you have one. If you don't know what it is, you don't have one. And so you might need to go get somebody really strong to punch these out for you. In fact, I had to get my hubby to punch this one for me. After you have punched your hole, you can use some of these reinforcement labels, these circles. Now I'm putting a white one here, although you can get these in all kinds of colors to help reinforce that hole. I'm going to put one on the front and one on the back. And then we're going to put a piece, 2 pieces of ribbon in fact. I've got 2 pieces. I've doubled the 2 pieces. And then I'm going to stick this through the hole. I'm going to go from the back to the front. I'm going to pull the tails of my ribbon through there. Pull it up tight. And our bookmark is done. Isn't it cute? Okay, let's start on our washi tape bookmark. Now, just like in everything else, let's do some Mod Podging. Let's take this second foot that we had next to the bones. I'm just going to rough cut it out. Make it a little easier to Mod Podge here. We'll need to Mod Podge that. And it will also need a backing, like on our other bookmarks. So we will Mod Podge a spot on here for our backing. So let's do that next. And I will be right back with you, because while this is drying, that's a good time to pick out the washi tape that you want to use on this. Okay, I went and hunted through my bin of washi tape and found a lot of little bright colors and interesting shapes. Now, if you don't have washi tape, you can take your decorative scrapbooking paper and cut it into thin strips and glue them on, and it will look and work just the same. Most of us have a lot of washi tape hanging around, and we might as well use it. It's such a pretty art supply. So the first thing we need to do, we need to glue our black piece that we podged on one side onto our piece of cardboard. And this will be the back of this foot. So what we need to do, and I'm going to glue it onto this loud side here, the one that has a lot of advertising on it. We need to turn that over and get our Podge out. And I'm going to Podge here and turn it over and glue to that cardstock. See, notice there's times we use it for shine, and then there's times we use it as glue. Mod Podge does a lot of things for us if we're artists. It's a protectant. It's a glue. It can shine up your work. And it just can do all kinds of things. All right. About got that. You don't have to work quite as fast as I am, although you don't want this to dry before you turn it over and stick it down, but it takes a little while. I'm sure you noticed for Mod Podge to dry, especially if you're waiting for it to dry. It can take forever, it seems like. And then I'm just going to turn that down. Now my shiny side is up. My Podge side is down to be a glue, and I'll flatten this out. There we go. Now I'm going to rough cut out around this. Make it less bulky to work with here. All right. Now my next step is to glue my podged foot down. Just like that. You could have outlined that on your dark paper there or your backing paper and saved you this step. You know, I should make a lot of these, every one of these, before I tape it, shouldn't I? But because I don't always have a lot of time to do these videos, I'm learning while I do it too, just like you are. I'm going to finish Mod Podging this and I'll be right back. After I have my Mod Podge on here, I'm going to flip this over and go ahead and glue it on. So I say you could eliminate this step by having drawn on your black piece of paper for an outline. Sometimes once we do a craft, we can see easier ways to do it. Because now what we want to do is cut it out. I had a lump in my Podge there. You know, I don't think it's going to hurt. So now, we're going to cut all around our outline. I just finished cutting around my foot, toes and all, and now it's time to put the tape on. Let's see if we can get a little better light here. I don't know. I get a glare if it's right on it, but it'll do for now. Now what I'm going to do is put lines of washi tape across that. So I'm going to just do like this. Don't worry about this right here. You can cover that up and not have a problem. Just like that. And it's okay if it sticks to your table because washi tape comes unstuck real easy. And we're not going to worry about following these edges because we can cut that later. So there's one down. Let's put this next to it and we're just going to keep lining washi tape. Now sometimes finding the edges of your washi tape can be a challenge. But that's alright. We will get it worked out, won't we? And then just come along next to the one you just put down and put your next stripe in. And we're going to keep going. How about a nice blue next? Some of these are brand new that I just got a couple days ago. So I haven't used them to find the edge. There it is. And here we go, right next to that pink. Now you use any colors you want, and as I said, you can cut strips from scrapbooking paper and colored papers and get the same effect. Or you could color stripes on your white piece before you Mod Podge it. But it's fun to find some crafts that you can use your pretty washi tapes on. I'm going to finish putting washi tape all up and down here, and then I'll be right back. Now I've covered my whole foot here with washi tape, including the toes. I went right over the toes. Now I need to pull this up. So I need to work up the washi tape just a little bit and get it started. Then it won't be too hard just to pull right up. Now, I wouldn't suggest you do this on a table or your desk that has a good finish on it. If you have either a piece of cardboard or a work surface that you use, I would suggest you do that. I don't think the washi tape would pull up your finish, but I don't know for sure. Now, what we're going to do is cut around the tape. And just like this. Rather than trying to fit the tape in there a piece at a time, we just cut around the whole thing. Now I've finished cutting around it as well as I can. It does take some work because the tape wants to stick to your scissors. Isn't this starting to be cute? Now we had some toe lines. It's a good idea to take a piece of your washi tape that's on here and try your pen out to see if it will mark on it. Now I found some of mine would and some of mine didn't do so good. And to make this toe line, you're going to need to find a pen that will mark on it. And I have to use one of my finer line pens here. My marker, it just won't take it at all. So you may have to try out several pens to put your marks on. There. And in fact, that will probably smear until that dries. Yeah, it will really smear. So be sure that dries before you touch it. The next thing we want to do is smooth our edges. And a good thing to do that with is a nail file. Or if you have any other kind of file, but you know, the nail file is just the right size to fit in your hand. This is just one of those cardboard files. And go around the edges and smooth your edges up. It really helps the looks of it to get all the jaggedies off of it. And it doesn't hurt if it takes it off jagged sometimes. Yeah, it works just fine. I'm going to go all the way around that, and then we're going to ink the edges. Now that I've finished going around the edges, and I could probably do this a little better, you'll want to do your front side and your back side, and try to get any jaggedy pieces of tape or paper and get all that off of there. Next, I'm going to ink around my edges. Now, I'm not sure that you can do this with anything except ink. You can try it, but I don't think your colored pencils will work on this slick washi paper. And even the ink isn't too happy with it. But it will get these edges. If there's any white showing on them, it'll cover that up with your cardboard sandwich. Go along this edge. You could take a marker and go right along that edge and cover it up too. One thing about art, there's usually more than one way to do everything. And many times, you guys come up with much better ways. I'm sure of it. And if you do, always put it in our comments and tell us the better way. When we all put our heads together, we come up with some pretty neat things. Okay. And then, believe it or not, I want to Mod Podge one more time. Kind of be sure to hit these edges, and that will help keep everything together for the long run. Right, I have this Mod Podged. You know, guys, wouldn't it be cute to do this in camouflage tapes for the guys? And of course, you girls, we love all the pinks and pretty colors. It'd be pretty to do it in a glitter tape. So you can get glitter washi tape. There's so many things you could do that without that would look really neat. Now, we do need to let that set and dry before we finish it. We still need to punch our hole up here and get a ribbon or something on the top of it. So let's let this dry. Time to finish this thing off. we need to punch our hole. And on this one, I can still see my hole line through my Mod Podge. Otherwise, you can just kind of guess where that hole goes. It won't hurt if you put it in a different spot. Oh my goodness, it's going to take stronger muscles than mine. You may have to find the men of the house to do this for you. Almost got it. There we go. Now, if you have a cropadial, when I say that, if you have one, you'll know what it is. And that would be a good place to use this. It would make it easier to punch and easier to put in your brad thing there. But most of you probably don't. So when you don't, we can use reinforcement labels. If you have white ones, you can put a white one on and paint it if you want to. But you can also get colored ones. So I'm going to use one of these bright pink ones on here. See if I can get that out of here. There we go. I think that will look pretty snazzy on here. Now, you could have actually even put that on before you Mod Podged it last time. Some of these things, you know, you can do before, after. It's not going to be really important. You do it the way you want to. All right, now we need to put a ribbon, or you can use string or yarn. I am just going to use a couple of pieces of ribbon on there, and I'm going to go pink again. There we go. I'm going to double that, stick it through that hole. Oops, can you see that? This is doubled. Here's that hole. I'm going to stick it through there, pull that up, and you see we have a loop right here. Just put the ends through that. Don't drop it like I just did, and pull that tight. And look at that. Your bookmark is finished. Now, if this is still a little bit crooked, you might want to set it under a heavy book all night, or in a book. That'll do. But there is our washi tape bookmark. Now we're going to start on our third bookmark, which is a foot with cute toenails on it. We hope they're cute, right? So you will need to have a black piece of cardstock and whatever color paper that you want your foot to be. Now I'm going to have my good old newsprint, old dictionary as my paper that I'm going to use for the foot, and then there will be obviously some toenails on that. So I need to outline this foot onto here. Now I have my other one that I cut out for the other one, which is exact same foot, so I'm not going to worry about cutting this other one out because this is the same. And then I need to outline around this. Let me find my outline pen, the one with my nice thick mark on it. Here we go. And I need to outline this. And now again, it might be a good idea if I fastened it down a little bit. I don't know about you, but when I outline things, they tend to move around on me. Alright, and then we're just going to outline around it. I hope you're enjoying making these bookmarks. I think they're a lot of fun. They're not real hard, but I think they're fun and cute. And it's something you can actually use for a long time to come. I hope you love books and have a lot of places to put your bookmarks. You could also use these in your calendars. Let's see, school books. Then all your school friends envy you your bookmarks that they've never seen before, and there's no way they can go buy these because this is something you made, and I don't think I've ever seen any like this in the store. There might be somewhere, but maybe that'll be a good gift to give some of your best friends. So we've about got this outlined. And I bet you can guess what our next step will be. It seems to always be the next step in our crafts, doesn't it? We are going to Mod Podge this. We're going to get back to podgetating here. See if this came out fine. There we go. Now, we might want to, on this, go ahead and draw your toe lines in before you podge this. You could do it afterwards, but it's probably better to do it right now. We won't worry about those toenails because we're going to glue them on. So I think this is ready to podge. So we're going to podge this, and we're going to podge this, and I am thinking, yes, that's what we need to do next. Get my Mod Podge out here. And here we go. Some Mod Podge right over this guy. Do this on this fragile paper, especially for me, but it's still, as I've said, this will keep it from wrinkling when you glue it on your bookmark. Those wrinkles are a nuisance. It's really frustrating to do this much work and then have it wrinkle badly on you, and you just can't get it to look right. Now I'm going to podge a spot here big enough that that foot will fit over it, and then we'll be back here. Now my podging here seems to be dry, so I'm going to rough cut this out. And glue this to a piece of cardstock. So we need to glue our foot onto a piece of cardstock. So let's do that next. Just turn it over and put some Podge on it here. Back to podgetating. We do a lot of podgetating. Turn that over and stick it on your cardstock. Oh, and I did well for not getting wrinkles. I'm always happy when I don't get wrinkles. Need to clean this up. Now do remember, different papers will react to your Mod Podge and your glues a little differently. You really never know for sure till you've used a particular paper. Now, I'm going to rough cut this out. And we want to put this backing on it so that we don't have that ugly back on there. So we're going to glue this onto that. So what we need to do is podge the back of this. Turn that over, kind of eyeball where you have that podged on the back. Fit that right on there. There we go. Clean up my Podge a little. Always a good idea to clean the Podge up right away, or you end up getting it places you don't want it. In fact, if you have a lot of room, you might have a certain spot where you podge and then just pick it up and move it back over to your clean spot. Now we need to let that dry. We want to do toenails. Now I did give you a pattern here for some toenails. If you want to take this and trace these little pieces out on some of your paper, just put that down there, just trace them out. And you know, you could even do this with some of your washi tape, probably. Mod Podge them, and then glue each one on. The top one is for your big toe, and then it works right down. Get littler and littler as your toes get littler. But you know what I'm going to do? And you might like to do this too. If you have any fingernail things and toenail things, these are real nail polish strips. I'm going to put these on my toes. What do you think about that? So if you've got any of these laying around, wouldn't that be cute? So you can either make your own. In fact, you could probably take a piece of paper and use nail polish that you have and give it several coats and have nails. You could possibly just put nail polish right on this. I'm not sure how that will work with Mod Podge. Haven't tried it. But you know, just keep trying things until you find things that you like and it looks the way you want it to look. Let's see how these work out on my toes. Okay, look at these bright, shiny toenails. We need to find one that will fit each toe well. This one will be perfect. Look at that. And I don't want it quite as long as what these are. So I'm just going to kind of shape this like this. And there we are. Look at that. In fact, that's still kind of long for a toenail, isn't it? Let's shorten it a little bit more until we get it the shape we want it. I think that looks so neat. Now, I think these are stick-on. They are. If it's a piece of paper, you'll need to glue it on. But these will just stick right on. Look at that big old toenail. Now, possibly I should have been up a little higher, but I think once that's stuck, it's stuck. Now, I need to see which one will fit my next toe. I think this is a good one for this toe. I'm going to cut some down on that. Probably more than I want. I'd rather not take too much because I can always shorten it up, but I can't add back on. And look there. Is that about right? That's about right, I do think. So, see if I can get that peeled off of there. So I'm going to go through and finish these and be right back. Okay, I have my toenails on. I didn't get them on real straight, but I'll give you a hint. If you stick it down there, don't try to pull it back up. It just tears apart. So be very careful when you put it down that it's where you want it. Now, I want my foot to have a toe ring. So I have this sequin here. Which toe should she wear it on? Probably there, and then I'm going to put a little gem on top, but I don't want to put the gem there yet. Look at that. So, I'm going to glue that sequin on real quick, and then we're going to, what do you think? We are going to cut it out, and then we're going to Mod Podge over. In fact, I think I'll cut it out before I put that on. That way I won't knock it off. So let's cut it out next. Okay, I've finished cutting out my foot. Next, I need to sand down the edges a little bit with a nail file. You don't have to do too much. Just get the ragged edges off. And probably depending on your paper and your cardstock, there will be different amounts of ragged edges. It's kind of nice just to smooth those off. Do both sides. Now, I would suggest you do better than I'm doing. Do a little more than I am. There we go. Now, I want to glue the bottom part of my toe ring on. So that it's going to have a sequin on the bottom and a little jewel on top. So I just need to put a little Mod Podge on the back of that. Whoops. I dropped my sequin here off camera. There we go. And I got Podge all over it. Anyway, we'll clean it off now. We may have dulled some of its shine, but it's going to get Mod Podged again. So now we need to Mod Podge over this to keep our toenails down and the bottom part of our ring. This will give it extra protection. So let's just give this a good coat of Mod Podge. If you like tattoos, you could even do some tattoo designs on these feet. I am not a big fan of tattoos, but you might like them. Or pretend that whoever's foot this is, that they like them. Okay, now this needs to dry. Although I think I may try to go ahead and put my jewel down while that's wet and see if that won't stick it there. Now this jewel may not last. By the time you've stuck this in a book 100 times, it may get knocked off. But you can always glue another one back on. Now, let's let it alone and let it dry. All right, not quite done. We have a couple more things to do, but we're really close to it. Now to finish our toenail lady's foot here. We need to punch our hole, and I had to get my husband to do my last hole. These are really hard to put in. It's possible, but a husband or a dad or a grandpa, hey, I must be getting stronger. Got that one. Now, you can use some of these reinforcements or a cropadial. I think I'm going to put some bright green here. This is a lady who likes bright colors and just loves to have fun, I think. Anyone that can stand to wear a toe ring and bright toenails has to be a fun person, don't you think? So here we go. Get these on. Now I have a few wrinkles in the back here that I didn't press that down hard enough when I put them down the first time. And I want to put a red ribbon in the end. Now you could have put these reinforcements in, and the hole and the reinforcements, before you Mod Podged it. That's a choice that is up to you. So many of these things can be done in different orders. So I'm going to go through the back. Bring that up and have a loop here. I kind of got it all crooked. I'm going to get those ends and pull them through that loop. Now, I didn't do too good of a job, but it's good enough. There we go. This will have a short loop on it, or a short end. And there we go. Now, this needs to be in a book or under a book for a while to straighten it out. But there it is, all done. Okay, let's see all three of our bookmarks together. And I just see that my jewel hadn't dried on there yet, and I knocked it off. That jewel will probably take a while to dry. And you may have to use some good strong glue on it too. Marks. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this project. I had a lot of fun with it. And I hope you enjoy using these in your books. And I'm looking forward to being with you again in our next project. Next month, it's going to be a different theme, and I hope it's a fun theme for you. So, bye-bye for now.